All right, let's go to immigration. Border fence. Would you put a border fence from Brownsville to San Diego if you were president?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Would you move the National Guard down to the border in certain precincts that are dangerous, and would you put the U.S. National Guard to back up?
I would use whatever. Look, I'd use whatever resources we needed to. I've said there are 23,000 Department of Homeland Security employees in the Washington, D.C. area. I'd move half of them to Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona if we need the manpower.
Well, that would just frighten people not to come here because they'd be seeing the federal employees. But, I mean, President Bush did not
I would be willing to reinforce. There's a profound reason to not get the military too close to drug dealing because of its enormous potential for corruption. But I think as reinforcement for local sheriffs, as reinforcement for local law enforcement and for the Border Patrol, you certainly would use whatever level of military you needed
because President Bush
to make sure we had overwhelming power.
Did not want to do that. He did not, for whatever reason, and he never clearly articulated it, he did not want to use the National Guard to get down there and help Arizona in particular, which is just awash with all this stuff. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor of California, flat out refused to do it when he could have called out the National Guard. They refused to do it. Do you understand President Bush and Governor Schwarzenegger's reluctance?
No, I mean, I think they have to explain their reluctance. What I can tell you is we have a crisis in national security. We've had it since 1986 when President Reagan wrote that he was signing the Simpson-Mazzoli Act in his diary in order to get the border controlled. For a quarter century we failed. I've said at newt.org, and you can see it right there, one of my top priorities will be to have complete control by January 1, 2014. I think it's a national security imperative, and I would take whatever resources were needed to get the job done.
Okay. Now, the 11 million, this is an estimate, but I think it's accurate, the 11 million illegal immigrants already here have to be dealt with in some way. My program, which I've had up on BillO'Reilly.com for years, says you start with registering. You give illegal aliens a time period, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, that they have to register at the post office with their name, their address, and their status, all right? And if they have a social security number or something like that, they have to. If they don't register within the time period that the government decides, it's a felony. It's a felony, all right? Would you support that?
Well, I don't. Look, I want to deport the people who don't register.
No, but you have to find out where they are and who they are.
Right.
And we don't know where they are and who they are. They live in the shadows. Would you support a registration of illegal aliens?
Yes, I would support a universal registration of those who are here illegally, and I think you'd have immediate deportation if you did not sign up within a certain time. The way you framed it, Bill, I wouldn't support putting them in jail because I don't want our taxpayers subsidizing them in jail.
Well,
if they're here
I'll tell you what it would
not obeying the law, let's kick them out.
I understand that, but the deterrent then becomes much higher. If it's a felony and you're sentenced to 2 or 3 years in a federal penitentiary, which you can build, all right, that's a deterrent for anybody coming in here. It's not only deals with people who are, thumbing their nose at your order, but it also prevents people from coming in here. But all right, be that as it may, it can be massaged. All right, so they register under President Gingrich. You know where they are, and the ones that don't are immediately deported, picked up, or whatever. And you would order the states to comply. Sanctuary cities, what would happen to San Francisco if they told President Gingrich, we're not going to do it? What would you do to him?
Look, we're going to propose a bill to cut off all federal funding to any sanctuary city or sanctuary state. They get no money of any kind from the federal government, period, as of that moment. And if San Francisco wants to bankrupt itself in some fantasy, that's fine.
So you would take a tough approach, and you're not sending any more federal money on any level to anybody that doesn't aggressively support the federal law. Okay.
Including, by the way, I would reward, let me just say, I would reward and encourage South Carolina, Arizona, and those states that are correctly using local law enforcement, and I would withdraw the federal lawsuits because they're doing the right thing, trying to help us find people who are here illegally.
Okay. Final question for you.